I used to make 200,000 euros a year and it felt like enough, but now I earn over 7 million a year and still feel poorer than before. Getting up in the morning isn't enough for me. It's not just feeling a bit sad today. Well, your business doesn't give a damn if you feel sad, and your wife, even if she feels sorry for you, shouldn't give a damn if you feel sad either. Does a man have to be the provider for his home or business? I'm sorry, but in school they just teach you to be another worker, another sheep. I had to educate myself. You'll need to learn too. Who did I learn from? People I admire, like Tony Robbins and Dan Pena. So I learned from people who are looking for the same life philosophy that I'm looking for. You know, it's like when they say to you, you're rich, you managed to live an amazing life. What you didn't see is that I lost 10 kilos in 5 years. I fly daily, move every 3 days, and earned over 7 million euros. Yet this person criticizes me. If I wanted to win, I'd be in his bed jerking off. And I'm still going reinvesting and working more every year, not less. A country is a business with income and expenses, and Spain's expenses exceed its income. In Spain, there are now more public employees than self-employed workers. If expenses already exceed income, what happens to a business that spends more than it earns? To close down?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of LA Factoria. Today, I have the great pleasure of having an entrepreneur with a unique story, someone who last year made a pretty considerable amount of money. I'm not saying it, he will. Welcome, José. Nice to meet you.
Jose, how are you? Good? Excited?
Are you excited to do this show?
Yes, very much.
I was also looking forward to hearing you, because I truly believe that in Spain there's a problem, and it's that people envy those who succeed. Because they believe that anyone who has managed to make money is someone who was born into a wealthy family or just got lucky, and individual achievements are greatly undervalued. You were born into a family that gave you every advantage to reach your current position.
Yeah, they gave me a ton of advantages, like a monkey to be clear. No, I didn't have any advantages. I come from a family. A regular family, but it was a family of sailors. And when my grandparents died, it completely fell apart. My father wasn't really my father. I found out when I was 21 that he was basically the person who almost mistreated me. He wasn't my father then. I grew up in a family without a single penny. And I went through 2 bankruptcies in my life. I saw how my family was structured and ended up in ruin. Because of a poorly managed man, to be clear, a pretty weak man. And then it happened to me years later because of my ignorance and my damn crazy head. The first business I started, which went well for me, was successful in Ibiza and was generating capital, and things were starting to go well for me. Due to misinformation, acting like the typical uninformed person who thinks they know it all. I was broke, lived in my car for 3 months, and owed around 60,000 euros after my house was repossessed.
What kind of business was that you had set up in Ibiza, José?
Look, I went from being a sailor to opening a bar and some other businesses, and from there I discovered the concierge business in Ibiza, the concierge business. So what we did was basically act as fixers, so to speak, getting rental cars, luxury rental homes. We found the clients, and the way it worked was renting or subletting the luxury items we had to those clients. We were doing well, but I was missing a lot of information. Financial education, first of all, I had none. So the money I earned didn't make me more money. It just went up in smoke, because that's all it did for me. It artificially boosted my self-esteem, since I valued myself by what I was earning then, not what I knew, and I lacked the training for the world I was in. That's when I started to educate myself and realized that I needed to get training or create the kind of education I have today. I want to help people avoid making the same mistakes I did. Because just making money doesn't make you rich or better or successful, at least in my view. Success comes from being someone, not just making money. Money is often the result of being someone or providing a service that does something for others. But that's how I experienced it, and it wasn't easy for me. What you say about people criticizing envy in Spain, I think it comes from pure ignorance and upbringing. They teach us that early on. People think if someone achieves something, even at school, it's because they did something wrong, and if they didn't study or have a degree, they don't deserve it. Is that so?
In Spain, seeing someone with a sports car usually makes you think they're a rich kid or from a wealthy family.
Or a drug dealer.
Or something? You never think maybe this person started a company making 30 million a month in Spain. We have this mentality that it's very complicated, or especially this mentality of envying those who achieve things. I wanted to ask you, how did you go broke? I mean, what were the bad decisions that led you to sleep in a car?
Those were the bad decisions.
I'd also like more details.
How much did you earn in Ibiza with your first successful business, and how did you lose it all?
Well, look, I wasn't even making 10% of what I make today, and I thought I was rich. That says it all. Just so you know, I could make up to 200,000 euros a year at best. Today, I make over 7 million a year, and my feeling of poverty, of financial poverty, is greater than it was back then. I used to misunderstand money and had a poor relationship with it. I went broke simply by making bad decisions. I didn't treat my partner well at that time, we grew together and became different people, which I think means I wasn't the man I am today. I didn't provide for her or take care of her the way I should have taken care of a partner, so did that affect the day-to-day life I was living? I had been with the same partner since I was 15, so from a very young age. Because I made poor decisions with my partner, I also made bad choices in my own life. When it came to especially investments, I didn't know what an investment was. I made money and spent it. Or I thought that buying my own house was a good investment, or changing my car was an investment. Honestly, I was ignorant. Many people hide that they had to fail before making money. I always told Fidel this in the car. For me, there are two types of entrepreneurs, those who have already fallen and those who still have to fall, so I'm grateful for falling. I'm not going to lie to you, because if I fall now, with the level of profits we have, or with the number of employees I have, it would affect more than 40 families. At that time, it only affected me, but it was because of bad personal decisions, especially personal decisions, that led my finances and my personal and professional world. Sorry, everything went to hell. I understand.
José, I understand.
He is an impoverished person. To be clear, mentally,
I'm very interested in that. Do you go broke? End up living in a car when you make 200,000 euros a year? Are you a wealthy person?
if I was there 2 years, why not give yourself a break? I went into debt buying the house repossessed from my family. I got into 360,000 euros of debt, and I was so stupid that every time I made 30,000 or 20,000 euros, I would go to the bank and pay off part of that house. After my business collapsed, I still owed nearly 50,000 euros, which I couldn't pay. Because like I said, I made money and I didn't put it to work for me. I paid off debt, I bought things, I changed cars. So, like I said, the excitement lasted 2 years. I went bankrupt. I spent 3 months living in a car, actually in the car. That's when I met who is my business partner today, Alberto de la Torre, who is my partner. And that's when I met him. Job hunting, I rode elevators seeking sales roles and landed one in the electrical sector where I met my partner. To this day, we've been together for more than 8 years with this company, working together, billing well, and working well. But I met him, and I value my partner a lot because he met me and trusted me. When you live in a car, you know, most people won't trust or believe you when they see you putting on a suit in your car. Now, 8 years later, he's my partner. But I'm telling you, what led me to that were bad personal decisions, unique decisions. Man, there's no one else to blame, nothing like that.
You take responsibility for that fall. That's it.
You have to take it. I think that in Spain we have a very bad habit of blaming someone else when someone goes bankrupt. Oh, yes.
Because of my business partner? Because of my wife?
Because of the government and the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party. It's not like that. Like I always say, it's a damn robbery here. If you open a business but can't pay taxes, it's not really a business. So we have to struggle a bit with the country we have. They need to give you the margin so you can pay the outrageous taxes they charge. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a business anymore, in my view.
I see it exactly the same way as you do. I'm really interested. At what point when you see yourself in the car and having lived that lifestyle, do you say, click, I'll recover from this because I'm very interested in mental resilience? Many people don't get back up. When life hits them hard and they're in your situation, they give up. And for me, that's not manly. A man has to know that regardless of how hard life hits you, our destiny is to keep moving forward, to keep fighting. With your nails, with your teeth, with blood and with sweat. That's what you did, and that's why I admire you.
I'm glad you asked, since others have also wondered how I lived in the car. I mentioned on a podcast that living in my car made me grateful, as it taught me to truly value myself. I mean, at no point did I think about giving up. I'm not going to lie, I cried many nights like a kid because I felt humiliated by myself. I mean, I talk about it with a lot of people. I mean, I felt the biggest self-humiliation of my damn life, but no one did it to me. I mean, I felt humiliated by myself. Like, how can a person, after 2 years of raising their standard of living well, suddenly realize that for what they dreamed of all their life, which was to have a family, take care of the family, provide for the family, help my brother, improve my brother's life, suddenly I didn't do any of that. I realized I spent 2 years working with ego and lived off that money the whole time. I really had an ego. Unconscious, call it whatever you want, but full of crap to be clear. So when I went to the car, I never felt scared, Jota. I'm telling you the truth. I never felt scared or felt like giving up. That's what gave me the fuel to build what we have today. Because after I got out of the car, I needed the money. And that house I mentioned was repossessed because I didn't finish paying for it. I went to private lenders to try to save the house, but I got scammed. It was a real estate scam, and that's when I started saying I don't want this to happen again. In the real estate sector, I used to work in sales, not in real estate, and then I got into real estate. One reason is it's among the best paid sales jobs, and another is I had just left a scam, which, to this day, any of the guys we have in the company can tell you about. We make sure that through our company there isn't any damn scam. No scams, no usury to any client, because what happened to me could happen to you. Losing your car, being ruined, or taking a long time to recover due to a scam. A career of years. So what do I do nowadays? I control all of that from my company, Because I think we need to fix that usury problem we have in Spain, because I didn't have kids. If they do to someone else what they did to me, especially someone with kids or a child with issues, they could ruin a family forever. For 60 or 40,000 euros. I was never afraid, but I did feel very humiliated. If there's something I would advise any young person who sees they're earning a lot and they're not using it wisely, it's that they should stop, because sooner or later they're going to feel like a worthless man, humiliated, and all that masculinity or all that strength you feel is going to break you. It will break you because you're not consistent with being a man and standing up for what you must defend.
What does it mean to be a man, and what must a real man defend?
To me, being a man means doing what needs to be done, even if you don't want to. A man to me, which is really frowned upon in Spain. Nowadays, you get a lot of criticism for that, but a man has to do what he has to do. No excuses. It's not enough for me if a man simply gets up in the morning. It's not like, oh, today I feel a little sad, but your business doesn't give a damn if you're sad, and your wife, even if she feels sorry for you, shouldn't give a damn either. So, a man must provide for his home and business. And on top of that, I come from the world of crime, so there's an example I always use if you're the boss. The last one to jump off the ship is the boss if we go down. So, what happens nowadays? I've noticed that when it comes to business or family, men today are usually the first to leave. Most of them. I know I want to get some of that back from the company. And in fact, the training I give is very much based on that. A man has to be a man. You have to do what you have to do. No, not just what you want to do all the time. So a man has to have the responsibility to work, to provide, and even if you want to cry, you don't really have much of a right to cry. That's how I see it, that's how I live it, and that's what works for me. The moment I stop being that kind of man, I'm done for.
Thank you.
And why do you associate your downfall, or going bankrupt, with not having been man enough?
Because of my decisions, Jota, I was driven by pleasure. Making that money was all about pleasure for me. The pleasure of buying a car, meeting a girl, and so on. I was motivated by pleasure. I wasn't driven by...
Or that you let yourself be carried away by hedonism?
Yes, totally. I pictured myself in Ibiza, young and wealthy, so I let go. And that's not a man. That's totally a sissy, to be clear. You're not much of a man when you do that. So I went from being a man, I became that, and I went to ruin. I went to ruin, and it affected me emotionally. I was someone who was really messed up emotionally because of that. And today, now that I've gotten all those things back, the parameters that define me as a man include improving my income, circle, relationships. I've improved everything. People can believe what they want, but when a man acts like a man, the outcome is usually good. It's usually very positive.
I want to ask you, Jose, when you were in the car, did you put on the suit to look for a job? And did you meet your current partner? How?
How did that relationship develop to get to the point where you are today?
Well, look, my partner, let me explain it a bit better so you understand. As I always say, in my company, there's not a single one of us who's normal. I was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder later in life, and I also have a 138 intelligence quotient. So that led me to have a lot of problems during puberty. When it came to not understanding myself, not managing myself, and whether I wanted to or not, I always had that tendency, maybe, to connect with people I saw as strange or different. So when I met Alberto, I'm 10 years older than Alberto, I met Alberto when he was just 19 years old. That's when we started getting to know each other, and what surprised me about him was that he was just a 19-year-old guy. with a rare disease which makes it hard for him to walk, and year by year his ability to walk will get worse. And he would come to that office to work and deliver results, and he was the only one who never complained. I saw people with their parents who had a place to stay. Today there's a lot of work, today it's raining, today there's a lot to do. Another would come in, all complaints about today's world. Alberto, 19, would show up with 30,000 problems ready to work. No complaints or whining. I paid attention to him, amazed a 19-year-old could impress me so much. Man, because he would show up there, he was a guy who didn't complain about anything at all, Jota. So, of course.
I started, just as a side note, yes.
The rest, yes. The rest, yes, they were men who didn't have any kind of problem. They were men with families, homes, and no illness or disability, so that's what I mean by a guy like that. So, in the end, it's the passion for living. I got hooked on that guy and started hanging out with him. He loved sales, and I came from sales too. I remember one day, in front of a pine field, he told me, "I love selling, but I don't know how to get rich from it." What came to me was to tell him there are two kinds of people, man. Those who stand in front of a field of trees, and that's it. They just see a field of trees. Those who look at a field of trees see how to cut them and make paper, furniture, and other things. So, there are two types of people, Alberto. Those who look for opportunities and those who don't. So, I like people, and I said like you, who never complain, because those people are ideal for looking for opportunities. We got to know each other better, met his parents, and a year later, I prepared the Bib Kellen project. I quietly presented it to him, and he joined the platform. We noticed each other because neither of us was doing well, and we were the only ones working, invoicing, and not complaining, which led us to become partners. In fact, like I said, we've been together for 8 or 9 years, and to this day, we've never thought about splitting up or anything like that. We share a bond, a brotherhood, but it seems people have forgotten what it means for friends to truly protect and be like a second family to each other. That's kind of what I achieved with him.
I understand. I'm also curious. The step from the car to the company that bills $7 million a year. Was that process perfect? Alberto is a key part of this process because you've spoken very highly of him. We send him a big greeting from here, but I'm really interested. Thank you. Point C. What happened?
Well, I'll tell you, because now I want to write a book about that. Look, when I got out of the car, I started in the electric sector. Thank you, Gas Natural Fenosa was preparing, training people there for sales. It was the only tool I found to start making money. It wasn't something I liked, but you have to do what you have to do. So I was there for 2 years, saving money, moving around, selling. In fact, at the European level, we were always among the top sales teams in Europe. We didn't earn badly, and we started saving money from there. I got an apartment and lived with roommates for the first time in my life. I lived with Alberto Christian, a partner we had, a friend we had, and I was there for 2 years. After 2 years, I began my project. During those years, I worked and also focused on the real estate project. After 2 years, when we got some capital, we started with just 65 euros because I said we should begin with that amount. It would make a great story one day. So did we take euros? We bought a camera, not a very good one, and we started making videos on classified ads just like that with no damn investment. 3 months later, we made our first sales and reinvested all the capital back into the company for nearly 2 years, putting every sale and transaction back in. 2 years later, we saw our annual revenue hit 500,000. By then, we already had a team of 4 or 5 people because it was something we realized, I mean, from working so much and being so involved. 2 years later, we had a 5-person team and were making 500,000 in revenue. And starting from the second year, we doubled our revenue, even tripled it year after year. Up until this year, when we reached 7,300,000 gross. Don't assume everyone in Spain gets paid and the tax office gets paid. So does that make you rich? But that's how we got here. And the change was the challenge of wanting to open up. I mean, since I was coming from total ruin, wanting to open up. Something I could say later, I achieved this from nothing. So you'll be able to replicate it, We started with just 60.25 euros.
Damn, that's absolutely incredible. So, where are you at now? What's your company? What's it called? And above all, how many people do you have on your team? How much responsibility do you have on your shoulders? Because at the end of the day, I think people don't understand that a successful entrepreneur, someone with a team of over 40 or 50 people, is someone who feels deeply responsible for everyone's well-being. If you go bankrupt or your company fails, those people lose their jobs overnight.
For me, it's a daily concern. As of today, look, we have 43 people working directly and about 20 indirectly. So in the end, our staff is around 70 people. Either you're unaware, or yes, it's true that when you go to bed after a deal goes badly or an investment fails. Wow, is the anxiety really that bad? Of course, because there are over 40 families, many with children or elderly parents who depend on their income. So the responsibility is huge, but I would also tell you that I wouldn't be able to live without responsibility. I just couldn't. Nowadays, whenever a project ends or stops and I see we're not creating more jobs and so on, it gets in my head, you know? I really love creating jobs now. Did you know we have 40 people today? You asked about the company? Bipkel is a real estate agency with an internal training and AI platform. It's a little complicated to explain. What's going on? We currently have 8 sales points in Spain after 6 years, and we're negotiating 13 more openings. We've created the franchise system, are selling franchises across Spain and making it happen. Exactly because of that, because we have that sense of responsibility. We should aim for 100, 200, even 300 employees, not just 40. But what we want is to create jobs, create wealth, and leave a real damn legacy of companies that truly care for their employees, collaborators, and so on. Because we even have psychology services within the company, I mean, we provide training, emotional support, personal guidance. So for us, it's very important that people are doing well, so that later they can sell. When we have both men and women, we teach masculinity and femininity during training so each person can find their role. Because if not, it's very difficult to reach the levels of revenue we have, like the guys who make 80 or 90,000 euros a year. You can't be the typical man you used to be if you really want to earn that kind of money, or you can do it. A.
Do you mean that you have guys who couldn't do it before who are now making that kind of money? And to achieve that, did they have to stop being the men they used to be? I'm really interested in that little reflection you made.
For me, it's very important, and I always say in training, we all want results. The usual. This year, I want to get a new car and make €1 million. I want a beautiful, attentive girlfriend with big breasts, and on top of that, with big breasts as well.
Of course.
But up until today, you're 26 years old, and up until now, you haven't had any of that. You haven't had any of that because you're not the person who deserves to have that. I love it. That's all there is to it. So, do you want to have that? What kind of people have that?
I have a question for you. Are you a real bear, or are you just fooling yourself into believing you are? Here's an uncomfortable truth. You reflect the people you spend time with. For years, I was trapped in an environment that led me nowhere, surrounded by people with no ambition, waiting for something to change. But the reality is that things don't change unless you take control of your life and surround yourself with the right people. That's why I created Club Red Pill 3.0, a space designed for men who want to surround themselves with real warriors, a space where we discuss key topics like masculinity, stoicism, relationships, and couple dynamics, in which we try to give you the necessary tools so you can reach your maximum potential, keep improving every day, and become the men that this society so desperately needs. Additionally, when you join, you get access to an exclusive section where you can ask questions to the guests of the factory and learn directly from the leaders in the industry. To join the community, I'll put the link in the pinned comment. Let's get back to the podcast also.
You just have to copy over it. If you have to copy and they give you the tools so you know how to do it, it's one of two things. Either you're missing a few screws and you don't want to do it, or you're just lazy, or you need to be taken apart. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense, but I think that's how it is. You can't expect a different result if you keep doing the same thing and being the same person you were. If I became who I was 8 years ago, I'd be ruined again. I wouldn't know how to buy profitability or open more businesses, since now I have a hair salon, rent-to-rent companies, and other businesses I wouldn't have started before. So all of that led me to completely change who I am. I mean, to change your being. If you don't change who you are, how are you going to change your results?
The thing is, people have this philosophy like that's just how I am, or you have to enjoy life.
No one. We're all pre-made, starting from school.
You need to break some things, and that's the point.
You have to unlearn more than you learn. You have to unlearn a lot before going back to José.
You were a businessman who went bankrupt after billing 200,000. You started another company and made about 7.5 million last year. Did you do all this having a college degree?
No, I won't lie. I trained hard and had to learn, but outside that path, I mean, there's nothing in the educational system that teaches what I was taught. They don't teach me how to manage my attention deficit hyperactivity disorder in school. How do you handle having a 138 intelligence quotient and get the most from it? Neither do they teach you, how to manage money. In school, they don't give you emotional management or financial education. So what do they give you? In a school? If someone feels offended, I'm sorry, but in school, what they teach you is to be just another worker, just another sheep. So I didn't go to I don't have any kind of degree. I wasn't a bad student. The degree I got was fishing skipper because that's what I knew back then. I don't have any kind of degree. Now, I had to educate myself. Don't think you won't have to learn, but who did I learn from? With people dedicated to the world I like. Tony Robbins, Dan Pena recently with Spencer. So I learn from people who are looking for the same life philosophy that I'm looking for. I can't listen to a school teacher now at 40 years old because to school teachers, they once told me, you'll make it, but now say, José, you failed everything and won't amount to anything. Those teachers now probably see my company and realize they were the ones who didn't amount to anything. I'm not against school or education. It definitely doesn't work and needs to change. Is being a worker or employee effective?
Look, I'm not even remotely close to your level of financial success, but I'm not doing badly either. I'm someone who has gained some recognition. I have a drink, a show, a private community, and this show is also getting good numbers. I didn't go to college, that's not who I am. And what I studied was a college in Scotland about sports turf care. I'm a specialist in grass.
Amazing.
And I have a big battle. All those scholars, my university friends and journalists, just like that. None of them are getting the economic results that I am. None of them have 6 people working for them on their image, their project, and their idea.
So,
I have a big fight with the educational system. Because we should encourage creating, we should encourage producing, we should encourage employment, but employment that isn't just to benefit the state or a specific company. We should encourage people to try to reach their full potential in educational institutions. It actually does the opposite.
they hold you back, they put up a curtain so you can't reach it. They don't cover it up for you, but they do block it.
How many people do you know who are dedicated entrepreneurs? Jose, one didn't finish college, another did something else, another did something else. How much does my colleague Roberto make?
And those who finish it, we have stories of lawyers.
And what do they tell you?
They're making more money with us without practicing their profession than with their profession. That's what I was telling him. You studied to be a lawyer. You didn't study to make money being a lawyer. I set up a law firm and use you without having a degree myself. What should they give you after law school, for example? How the hell do you manage yourself and bill? Or how to make a living as a lawyer? Or you get a law degree and you're a lawyer. Now you're on your own. No, there's nothing like that. In Spain, and likely across Europe, our education remains outdated and lacking. Just look at that. I mean, the world sped up, cameras changed, our microphones changed, our watches changed, the whole world changed. But you walk into a classroom,
And it's still
the same. It's still the same. It's still the same theory, just like they use the same desks, and the theory hasn't changed. In fact, the only thing that changes is history, according to the convenience of the government that's in power at that time. But the rest of education, to me, is very impoverished. Of course, and I'm not telling anyone not to study. Damn it, of course you have to study and become educated, but you have to wake up. You have to wake up from a common and public education system like the one here in Spain. You're not going to make it unless you have a burning fire inside. You're not going to go out and make money or provide for your family, financially and beyond. Schools teach us that money or the economy is bad, like working for money is wrong. By that logic, working for food would have been considered bad in the past too. Because it's like I always tell many teachers. So you're saying that wanting to generate capital makes me wicked, a bad person, or selfish? If we were in ancient times and both seeking the same money, wouldn't that be food? Or the buffalo you want to hunt, would you say the same to me? Or would you take me out first to hunt the buffalo out of hunger? What's the issue? We live in such a comfortable world, especially in Europe, that of course nowadays what do people believe? Well, nothing, just comfort, period. That's what people believe. Money, no, money is the food of the modern world. That's what we have. It's the food of the modern world.
Let's continue with something. You've talked a lot about your education, your education, your education. As of today, many info product creators offer excellent training, but only a few truly stand out.
Yes, there are good ones, but only a few.
And I think there's a lot of hype. I think the market is oversaturated with people who want to sell just because they have followers, and all they do is say, "Come on, you pay me this much money. I'll teach you 3 things I've read in Rich Dad Poor Dad, in Atomic Habits.
Clear habits.
Read this book and I'll give you a mix of things. I gave you 3 live sessions for 2,500 euros, damn, subtitled. How does your training differ from these scammers? I know they're around."
Honestly, I don't want to discuss what makes it different. I just want to say there are many scammers out there. Because nowadays, when you buy a course, they sell you 4 videos and 4 PDFs. So does anyone really believe that 4 videos and 4 PDFs are going to change their life? Just go on YouTube for free or buy a Napoleon Hill book and read it. That's what they're selling. So, us or me, in my training, I'm not selling anything. I'm forging people. The training I give isn't something where you come here and I promise you that if you take the training, you'll make a certain amount of money. You're going to come here and you're going to be forged through training. We'll be together, supervising that you meet all the parameters and fulfill all the obligations and actions because, as I always say, just stopping and watching podcasts, if that's all you do, is just another way to procrastinate and drag things out. So if you don't take action, you're going to have a hard time. That's why we forge people.
That's a fact, sorry, but it's true. Having all the information is useless if you can't execute it.
You'll end up even crazier because on top of that, you know how to do it. So you know how to do it, but you don't do it. So that can end up dragging you down a lot psychologically. It can end up dragging you down. And I also think it's a shame.
Because of a small nuance. I think it's a big mistake many people make. Nowadays, they feel they're capable of something. They feel their potential is much higher. This may be true, but when they fail to meet the expectations they know they can reach, they become very depressed.
Yes. They don't have emotional support. So that's kind of what I like. I mean, I'd like to emphasize that a bit. I guide people through 3 phases, starting with emotional management. How will you support yourself emotionally? How do you act when angry or sad? What makes you sad and how does it affect you? What hurts your self-esteem? So we spend almost 3 months on emotional self-management. What do we achieve with this, man? Well, it helps you become a bit tougher because nowadays I really do see it. Sales is a comfortable field, yet those in sales behave as if they're constructing skyscrapers. It's a comfortable world. You're not carrying bricks. You're not sailing for 3 months. I mean, it's a comfortable world. So how can you be in the world of sales and still complain? It's something I just can't understand. I mean, what bothers you about selling? I mean,
The coworker who complains with José outside?
out on the street, right? But the training will be tougher. And if you persist, you'll be kicked out. That's why I don't believe in that training. If you take my or anyone else's training, you'll make money every month. Yeah, right. It depends on your actions and workload. What's happening? What I do, I don't make empty promises because we support and guide people through training and review their results after. Many finish the training, but often need help getting back on track. A month later, after just 1 good month of sales, they already think they've made it and know everything, as you said. And like I always say, experience doesn't come from studying, it comes from taking hits. I mean, from practicing, training. It's like someone who wants to lose their belly, but only does sit-ups once a week and then looks in the mirror expecting to see abs. No, you're never going to get abs in your damn life if you only do sit-ups once a week. It's going to hurt a little more. Well, my training is the same. I mean, if you really want to reach this goal, it's going to hurt a bit more than regular training. That's when you'll see what's just smoke and what's real work. The difference is some things are just smoke, others actual work.
I completely understand, and I think that nowadays I really like the phrase you said. That watching podcasts and reading is just another way to procrastinate if you don't apply what you read and hear in your daily life.
For me, yes, For me, yes, no.
For you, no. For me, too. For me, it's a fact.
Is that so?
And on top of that, I think you made another point that I really like, too. Which is that it's even worse because many people have the necessary tools. It especially happens to me with the topic of women, that's my thing. A lot of guys who follow me then write to me like, dude, I applied your advice and it went great with women. Then a girl hooked him and he instantly became a typical batonadas guy. I said, dude, really? If you already have the tools, why tell me? Do you know how many people I turned down? Hey, Joda, I want a one-on-one with you, an hour or whatever. And I'm like, man, I don't have the time. And 2 in an hour. I can't help you, brother. I can't help you in an hour.
I don't have a way. I mean,
If you tell me your story, I'll call you a fool. I even do it myself. That's just how I am. Have you ever acted foolishly? I'm not calling you a fool, but I did it with a kid and I helped him a lot, but it was like 10 sessions in total. I mean, I was able to help him, but with time and everything. For it to be worth it with everything I have going on, I had to charge him a lot. And I said, I can't do this. I can't help you, damn it. Look at my podcast. I pretty much give almost all the information I have there. So then I realized that people don't need information. What people need is supervision of their actions.
supervision is just part of being human for all of us. Humans naturally seek comfort. Without preparation, making money, or letting yourself, you'll get comfortable. If I get a better house, you'll relax.
If you find a good woman, you'll get comfortable, and that's when you're finished.
That's when the neighbor will take your woman in business. It's similar. If you aren't alert in life and get too comfortable,
That's just how life is. It might not be your neighbor, but could be the paddle coach, personal trainer, or anyone else.
are you taking things for granted? I believe the world, like people, is always under construction. When you get comfortable and start thinking, he gave me advice for an hour, so my life will be great. Are you screwed? Are you falling into an illusion thinking the world is going to change or your life is going to change just because you got some advice or received something? That's why I say people have forgotten that things require hard work. It's like when they say, you're rich, you lived well, but what did you miss? I lost 10 kilos over 5 years. I went sleepless for countless nights, traveled, flew home every 3 days, and earned over 7 million euros. The person criticizing me would likely just stay in bed if they earned that much. And I'm still going, reinvesting and working more every year, not less. So that's kind of what I'm getting at about how a course that's truly good, or a teacher or tool that's really good, if it really forces you and makes you work and supervises you, which is what humans need, the obligation of being supervised, you will work. That's how you'll work best. And people should realize that even when going to the gym. How is it that a person can't go to the gym alone? I know very few people who go to the gym by themselves because they need to bring a motivator, an external motivator, which we also provide during the training. How do you get external motivators? But wait, an external motivator? Doesn't anyone notice they're more committed to outside things than their inner selves? So, are you really going to the damn gym just because your buddy goes, but you won't do it for yourself? So, I realized that during training, supervision is needed to keep us in check. So you can reach any goal you want, financial or personal. But I'm going to supervise you, because if not, you'll fall into the human trap of just getting comfortable. I already think I know. I already think I don't. And that's something that takes up a lot of my time and health. But I enjoy it, Jota, because I see the kids change. You'll see testimonies from kids who joined us 6 months ago coming from tough street environments and bad posture. We teach neuro-linguistic programming to help people learn how to apply it and understand their behaviors. It sends you messages, how you gesture sends you messages, how you dress sends you messages, and how you speak sends you messages. So when you really know how to apply neuro-linguistic programming or improve it, your way of thinking and being improves because your brain is seeing you differently. So, we have that very ingrained precisely because of those things, you know? That's exactly why. So you stop seeing and acting like you used to. And you realize that you have to take action and work really hard to get really far. Man, is there any other way?
Yes, I use neuro-linguistic programming a lot with I want to achieve X. No, I'm going.
I'm going to achieve X, I'm going, and there's no doubt. Look, I have a guy, actually, I love him. It's Anton. Is he going to see this podcast? He joined the company 2 years ago. He came in very weak, suffering a lot because of girls and,
Classic case of heartbreak.
He wasn't like that. He was very weak. The guy was very weak.
Greetings, my friend. I hope you're not anymore.
He's not a titan, but now he is and has been with us for 2 years, making money. He earned 48,000 euros the first year. He changed the way he spoke. He changed the way he gestured. He changed the way he saw the world. Do women pursue him now that he earns money? This year, after 6 months, he's earned around 60,000 euros and now represents my company's image. He's in charge of making sure that the nearly 2,000 properties we have meet certain quality standards within the company. So, as of today, he's the support for 40 other men, and 2 years ago, he couldn't even support himself. It happened to me, him, and many others. So, that's why I say that things like what this guy achieves come from the fact that he suffered like a son of a bitch. He suffered, he spent nights training, he spent nights suffering, he went through very tough conversations and very tough mentoring with me where you have to tell him and lay bare what really he's being. And to this day, that's what I like, that the people who really have the guts take action and carry everything out, do what he's doing. They support their family, and now, if he wants a woman, he supports her, he has her, he cherishes her, and he has money, he has a salary, he has self-esteem. I mean, he's a guy who even his physique, you look at his physique, he used to be kind of chubby and all that, and you see him today. And the guy, to be honest, he's even really attractive now, you know? And you think, good for you, a 23-year-old guy, you know?
You've made a really important point today, and I believe that to reach a certain level, to achieve a certain turnover, to reach certain goals, the first thing you have to do is see yourself naked in a mirror. And I don't mean naked literally, I mean admitting to yourself, I'm a loser, I'm selfish, I'm lazy, I'm a drug addict, and this way I'm not going to get anywhere. I like women too much, I waste too much time, I spend too much time on my phone, I talk badly to my mother, whatever it is that applies to you. You have to admit that you're a mess in many areas of your life, and you also have to recognize what your strengths are, and from there, take action. But people are afraid to see themselves naked in the mirror.
You hit the nail on the head there, man. People are afraid to see what would happen if they're different. What's going to happen to me? If I'm different, what's going to happen to me? Honestly, yeah, I think they're really afraid of what will happen to their life if they act differently. And they're afraid of losing. That's another thing. Losing what? That's what I tell a lot of people because I had that fear too. Now, if I change now, if I start getting involved in this, I'm going to lose my friends. You're not losing anything. Nothing is yours. And if it's lost, it wasn't meant to be there. Fear of loss often means what you fear losing is already unnecessary. There, damn. It no longer fits with your vision of life. It doesn't fit anymore. And that's something people are terribly afraid of. Well, it's better for you to be alone for as long as you need to be, until you build yourself into who you need to be. And you'll see what happens after that. Your choices are right, they're good, or at least they're better, you know? But I think people have exactly what you said, man. They're afraid to see who they really are, because who you are right now is crap. There was a moment in my life when I had to tell myself that same thing. You're a piece of crap. You're such a man.
I did it too.
So lazy. Dude, you know you ended up abandoning your brother, you lost your girlfriend, you ended up in a car. And whose fault is it, Delminda? So that's when you say I have two options.
I've been through that too, looking in the mirror and calling myself a loser.
Of course, man.
And also of seeing myself and breaking down and saying, you can't go on like this.
You can't go on like this. But I think that barrier is like what I was saying before about the businessman. I think there are entrepreneurs who have already fallen and those who still have to fall. Well, I think there are men who have already taken the hit or are about to take it or do a lot to avoid it. Because I think every man ends up feeling like crap when you really have to work on it yourself from scratch and so on. You feel bad because you lack experience and information. And life? Often life or others teach you what it means to be a man.
That's absolutely true.
I think we live so comfortably that we even need some hardship to become one.
I want to ask you a question. There's a saying, I don't know if it's Chinese, that says a man learns from his own experience, but a wise man learns from the experience of others.
Because the wise man has already seen.
He's already seen. What he sees, for example, is people who say, getting beaten up toughens you up. I think the fewer beatings you take,
the better. I mean,
that's a myth.
They leave a scar.
That's an ugly myth.
Because, of course,
I know what heroin does to a junkie. You don't use it, and I don't either, because I say, damn. Other people's experience, I've already seen what happens. It's better I don't go and use it myself because I know what could happen to me. People with certain financial attitudes often find it harder and may feel like they'll just fail. The wise one is the one who looks and observes everything others do. The people who have gone broke, who listen to them today and then have managed to get back up, those are the truly intelligent ones. Do you think it's possible to be the kind of entrepreneur who hasn't done it, who hasn't taken a hit?
Yes, of course, damn it, but that's where I tell you, you need to be better prepared. I think from a young age because I was ignorant and that's what made me take the hit. Now that I have more experience, I surround myself with higher level people and replicate them. It's as simple as I want. That man's life, what does that man do? He gets up at 6 in the morning, eats well, chooses his partners wisely, and chooses his circles wisely. Is it to replicate? So, as of today, I know, but I took the hit while others avoided it because they already knew how. I'm late, so to speak. I'm 38 years old. I know guys who are 30 who didn't take the hit because they knew how to do that before. They didn't have to take the hit I took either because they had the information or because they were wiser or whatever it was. But I do know, and I think that a lot of people get there without having to take the hit. Also now within companies. You'll always take a hit. It's inevitable, and everyone should know that. A company is about problems. A company is dedicated to solving problems, whether it's in services, construction, or whatever. You must solve problems, starting with your own. In Spain, whether with the tax office, an employee, or anything else, you're definitely going to have problems. So, that's where your capacity comes in. That's why I always talk about being a man, the ability to withstand things. That's why I say you have to take the hit. You don't have to have a resistance capacity above average unless you want to be above average or achieve greater success than most people. Your capacity for resistance does have to be much, much greater. I mean, you can't complain because if you really start a business and want to be a millionaire, you can't be crying in the corners tomorrow. Because you lost 1 million on a bad decision, you have to learn from that decision. I mean, I lost 1 million euros because of a bad decision. What led me to lose that 1 million euros? And over the years, do you keep improving it? I know many entrepreneurs who haven't failed, and I learn a lot from young people. These days, it seems we don't listen to them. I learn from guys like Fidel or guys I have in my company who are 25, 24, 23 years old, and they teach me a lot. So, I think you also need a lot of neuroplasticity to take fewer hits because we learn from anyone, even from those who do things wrong. We learn like, okay, that's something you shouldn't do.
Yeah, that's where you learn the most.
You learn the most. Exactly, Pablo. Like you said, to avoid taking the hit. If he already took it, why should I? Yeah.
But of course, what the hell did you say that the one who won't take the hit yet? Honestly, I started thinking and I said, damn, I'm going to take it.
As a company, I don't want to disappoint you. I want to fuel you up and let whatever happens, happen.
There's no way to disappoint me.
No, I've already taken a couple.
I think so. You really have to believe in being invincible. I think so. You really have to believe it firmly. For real.
There's nothing that can bring you down.
For real? I'm really crazy about that guy. You see? But I get out of bed. And actually, I always tell my guys, one of the jokes I always say over there is about me. Not even God messes with me. I always say that. I think the operation will hit us and you'll get blamed, but not even God messes with me. So, I don't want that mentality. I don't want to lose it. I mean, I think I'm invincible. I think we should believe we're invincible, but without the fantasy. But you have to wake up in the morning believing you're going to take on the whole damn world, you know? If not, you're starting off wrong.
You're starting completely wrong.
Totally.
Totally, the taxes. Yesterday I was interviewing Libertador Fiscal, a company that's pretty powerful.
I know them.
Do you know them? Yes, yesterday I was here with them. Real pros, Paco, Alberto, and Uncle Espanol.
There's no way, man. Have you thought about leaving here?
I've thought about leaving for 3 years, but I never do. Actually, because we have workers, you have roots here in the end, and I'm not going to lie. In Spain, the quality of life we have in Spain is much higher than any other country in the world, any country in the world, absolutely. What's the thing we're spitting on? We're spitting on it. It's like when you have a good partner and you don't even realize it. So we have a good country. We have an awesome house, but our parents, our dad isn't taking care of us. The house isn't either.
In fact, they're mistreating us.
By not caring for the kids, we're repeating the same mistreatment. What do I think about Hacienda? What do I think about Hacienda? It's more than just Hacienda.
I want you to give me your opinion, Hacienda, the state.
Whores.
Cocaine?
Super fast. Besides, I mean, they're able to control 4 bank accounts of mine, you know? Or a kid, 4 visums, but they're not able to control over 30 accounts. Of Mr. Spanish Socialist Workers' Party who was stealing, evading, paying for prostitutes, cocaine. So what do I think? That it's a mafia, but a legal mafia. The same as drug trafficking, but legal. The thing is, here they play with human lives. It's like when they say politics doesn't kill anyone, I totally disagree with that. Politics kills people, politics kills people. Because when you drive a family to ruin, there are people who commit suicide, there are people who get divorced. There are people who end up hitting their child because they go crazy, and they end up hitting their child. There are relationships that end up in wars because of the tax office and because of the government. For me, our population isn't aware of this since it's often the tax office that really ruins you. I know married couples who ended up separating and never seeing their children again because they got into such big wars. Due to a tax office fine, they had to shut down their business. The woman stopped seeing him as admirable because instead of giving her a good life, he was now giving her 3 at home. because any man who ends up ruined if he doesn't have good support. If you're a guy with a lot of testosterone who wants to be there, your attitude will change. So, you went broke. Are you going to get your act together and start working? And you're not going to take care of your family. You're not going to take care of your family the same way. You're not going to take care of your friends the same way. How many people did the tax office indirectly ruin? How many people wouldn't commit suicide because of fines? Because of payments they could never pay in their damn life? Or is it because they're taking you to a house you've already paid for? The public doesn't see that. We lack spokespeople, journalists, or anyone to publicize it. But I do believe that a drug trafficker brings in 100 kilos of cocaine and kills or hooks 100 kids. The government does it too, so does the tax office, but with debts, with pressure, with fear. But they're just like drug traffickers. They control you and your life completely.
It's terrible. Recently, I heard about a woman entrepreneur's case.
I recently heard about a case that caught my attention, but I can't recall which podcast it was.
A reel popped up on Instagram while I was procrastinating, obviously watching
We all do it.
reels I shouldn't have been watching, and this one was a very curious case. A company that sold King's Cakes to a big supermarket, and they did.
5 million King's Cakes.
They only worked in winter since King's Cake is seasonal.
Forgiving on King's Day, of course.
What happened?
That the supermarket, more than half of the King's Cakes they had made, didn't pass them because of quality control. They had a small flaw and they didn't want to buy them, so they didn't invoice that. And obviously they tried to deduct that expense by saying, hey, this one, but they didn't count it as profit.
The tax office said, no. Those Roscons de Reyes were also invoiced. You also have to pay, those Roscons de Reyes also have to pay their corresponding tax, and the Roscons Reyes company had to close down.
In Spain, it's surreal. People need to realize this, no matter what side they're on.
It's impossible for the other side to realize it.
The damn Reds are never going to realize it. The left is never going to realize it. Of course not. I'm telling you that, but the thing is, we have to wake up already, for fuck's sake. Those systems aren't made to help the people. They're made to collect money. They're a fucking money-collecting mafia. Seriously, if these were made to help the people, you pay the company or worker and then they claim they're helping the worker. It's impossible for people to believe it since there's no filter. Here, because they seize your accounts for 100 euros and they've already blocked all your accounts and now you can't even buy diapers for your child. If you have everything, for example, in the bank, then what point have we reached? That the tax office with a refund product still makes you pay taxes on it? That should be a crime, you know?
Do they have mafia-like practices? I mentioned yesterday to the Libertador fiscal team that a law firm is filing lawsuits.
The Treasury is now facing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit over alleged mafia-like practices. The worst part is, what are they accomplishing? José, the fact that you're considering leaving?
I often thought about leaving.
If they keep acting like this, you're going to have to leave. And if they keep acting like this with me, I'll leave because I want to.
They leave to avoid taxes, which is bullshit. I'll pay 25 or 30% whatever you want, but I'm not paying more. It's half of my damn work and
I pay you, yet you treat me?
it's criminal. And on top of paying you half of what I earn, you find me, you have me by the balls? You're my boss. Once I start my own business, the government is my boss. You still keep me on edge with all my employees because the moment you leave me ruined, what are you going to pay them? My employees? Is the government going to pay my employees? No. So, are you going to get 40 or 50 complaints from my employees, and rightfully so, because they won't get paid since you just ruined me? But who ruined you? A government or institution that failed to analyze the case with no real evaluation? Debt, boom, foreclosure. They don't care.
They don't care, but you still have to deal with them 5 years later? You'll need to close your business and lay off many employees. Even if they admit you were right, they won't cover all your costs. The damage they've done to you.
When a tax inspector gets a bonus for issuing fines, that's when you realize what kind of country we have. We could be like Switzerland, because it's possible. An amazing agriculture sector that's shutting down and failing. We once had fishing. I experienced it, but now it's gone here. Industrial fishing remains, but small-scale fishing in Spain has vanished. So we have the best agriculture. We could have agricultural products sold all over the world at premium prices, just like Switzerland does, even with its milk and with its cheeses. So we could have some amazing products. We could have a rich country, a population that's mentally intelligent and wealthy. And we don't have that because of our governments, which in the end, the government is a reflection of society.
That's the problem.
That's the serious problem for me, but it's because of the governments we have, and that's going to keep working that way. We're creating anti-capitalist people, kids, anti-capitalist. But look, kid, that pork chop you eat on your plate, it costs money. It's not that we like capitalism, it's that capitalism is the system of life that exists. And if you change it, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because it doesn't work anywhere. So, has it gotten to the point where even working for money makes your employees end up seeing you as the devil?
Besides, that happens to you too. Your employees see you as the devil.
Not us. You can be sure of that. Our employees are proud of the company and all earn over 45,000 euros a year. Except, for example, the secretaries who are at a lower percentage, but I know for sure that they're not. For example, I have a hair salon, but it doesn't make me money. To give you margins like those in the real estate sector, no, for example. But why doesn't it make money for me? Well, because I pay over 2,000 euros in payroll, and he gets a little over 1,000. So, where do the other 1,000 plus euros go to the state, and where does it invest them? Because I'm willing to pay my employee the full 2,000. I mean, if you tell me you won't charge me, I'll pay it all to him. I'll happily do it because my employee will come to work happy. Damn it, he'll have over 2,000 euros every month. He'll come in happy. His life will improve and he'll work more peacefully. We don't pay over 1,000 euros or just what we can since the tax office takes half. On the other hand, people here, well, no, it seems like we don't realize it. I see television shows where this is denied. We show on public television that people earn 300 euros, but employers pay 2,100, proving it's true. Because a public television claims it's more than I run a country, and that station is closed, it's closed. That's false information, a lie to the people.
But that's the problem. Nowadays, since they control the media, they're the main spreaders of fake news.
As they say.
And they call real information fake news. So people are confused, but that's because there isn't a democratization of real information, and we have a very big problem.
Yes, for me the politician is like the drug dealer and the journalist is the pusher. Who works for the drug dealer? Wow, what a statement. That's how I see it, And I see it that way because that's how they behave. Believe me, that's how they act. Just think about it. Nowadays, they're putting people on television and in the press just for being entrepreneurs. Just for stating their earnings. Recently they featured, I think it was called Colin Fernando. They just put him on television, a guy who works, they just put him on almost humiliating him. Is it really necessary to humiliate the entrepreneur? It's necessary. They also took down Pedro Tenerife. What country? What country does that, man? From the press?
A country of filthy, lousy leftists?
A country that will not prosper.
A country about to sink. I have a solution. Jose, let me know if you agree.
Give me.
I'm willing to give up my beloved city of Madrid.
Let the left-wing people who want to plunder, who want their socialism, who want unions, who want to have agreements, who want to have constant regulations and obstacles.
And the tax office, with its abusive taxes, gets the most prosperous part. Spain, let them keep Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, the country.
It won't last long.
Let them keep everything and give rural Spain to us entrepreneurs, but let us set our own rules and laws. And we'll see in 40 years who has prospered and who has gone to hell.
I propose that experiment.
I feel sorry for Madrid, as it will end if left like this. Still, I agree because I know.
I'm doing this to the detriment of my city, and this obviously is a hypothesis.
This isn't going to happen, but I'm so convinced that they're going to go to hell.
It's like the distribution of money. Damn this typical nonsense about how we have to share the profits, but come on. You'd have to be foolish not to see that if we instantly divided the world's wealth equally,
we're all poor.
We won't all have the same thing now. He's an addict and already spending it because that guy reinvested it and now he has double because that one saved it and won't have any more. That one gave it away because he's a big mouth. Who said this phrase? Jose is finished. There's no equality, just fairness. You work, you get paid, you earn it. That's all.
There's a saying, can't recall which economist, that if you split all the world's wealth equally, within a year those who had more before would have it again.
I think it would happen in 10 to 15 seconds. Let's see.
Maybe that's too hasty, but I'm telling you, after a year, everything would go back to the way it was.
I'm sure. It'd be 15 seconds, I'd bet on it.
I wish we could do it.
There would be some dissatisfaction, and here's why. Everyone now has a cell phone. If you look at young people and men in Spain, I assure you that if half had 100,000 euros in their account, in just 15 seconds, they've placed sports bets and signed up for OnlyFans. So, you've already lost half the money you had, and the rest? And the other person has double since they're earning on their money instead of spending it like you? It's impossible for everyone in the world to have the same. I just don't get how people still believe in that method. I don't understand it. Sometimes it makes me laugh inside because it's like, why would you argue about something you don't even realize?
I love the reflection because it's so true. The reality is, Jose,
Do you have permanent contracts with your employees? That really scares me.
As of today, no, I can't. I'm not truly proud of anything yet, even though I have 43 people in a team. Because we achieved that. Also, I think because of the training, we have a training program that,
To work at my company, you have to go through the training.
yes, if not, you can't get in. No one can work there if they don't go through the training. The training is absolutely mandatory, and you have to do it no matter what, otherwise you don't work. We don't want people unwilling to complete our training, which is exactly why we provide it. How to improve finances, save money, and manage yourself.
How not to be a leftist.
Everyone already understands that very well. Honestly, I don't like it.
it seems like an extremely effective method to filter out the typical parasite who wants in.
They seek permanent contracts just to immediately take depression leave?
Either I skip work, or I want to get fired after 5 years for a big severance, which could support me for 3 years while I collect unemployment.
It really scares me. I'm either lucky with that or not, but that's your system.
If you screen, get to know, spend time with, and train them, you already know who they are. Many have completed your training without meeting the requirements.
Few remain. Some attend training but leave, unable to handle it. It's like, let's see, you have to. You want 100,000 euros a year. Well, for you, free Sundays no longer exist. There's a lifestyle, and the lifestyle of someone who makes 100 or 200,000 euros a year isn't the same, right? I'm going to watch the game on Saturday and Sunday and take a walk on the beach on Tuesday. So, isn't it a different lifestyle? So the training is really about that, it's really focused on that. Otherwise, what are you doing here? What are you doing here coming? For 1,200 bucks, I don't want you or anyone who only wants 1,200 euros. I know some can't work more due to life circumstances, but if you have legs, hands, and the tools too, you come here to settle for 1,200 euros, but this is a different company, so it's not yours. And the training, if we have it, is not only a requirement, but also a filter, Not as a filter, no, it is a filter. In the end, it's a filter to see if they're really able to handle the training. We trust you, Now, I was lucky, honestly, because I didn't have employees who tried to fool me.
Well, you're the only businessman with...
That kind of attitude.
The sole businessman with this system.
But I experience it. I have friends who are businessmen. I experience it. I have a friend who... And how many don't have it? He must pay alimony to a woman due to her work stress and will continue paying until the child turns 15. You say, but let's see. You're a businessman and not the child's father. Not the employee's child's father either. Anyway.
So what's the state for?
But that's where I say, and where is the state? Also, when a company, because there are bad businessmen, but there are also very good businessmen. In fact, I learned from other businessmen, and they are very, very good. Good people who risk their lives, assets, and families to keep creating jobs. So when I talk to those businessmen, I see that, like you say, damn, he just ruined it. An employee has been working for 10 years, and he happened to get an employee who crossed him. That's what I always say. There's never an investigation. Did the tax authorities get involved, or was there an issue? Will anyone act? Why did it happen, and how can it be fixed in Spain? Not in Spain? It caused a stir. Fine, close it. Forget it.
Fine, we'll meet in court in 5 years.
We shut down the company over one employee. Tell me more about that.
Case of that employee.
And another 10 out on the street.
Tell me about that employee's case.
I'm interested. He was an employee, and is actually a friend who owns a beauty salon chain. And they hired him as a favor. They even hired a girl as a secretary, though I don't know what health issues she had. She blamed everything, the treatment, stress, and more, on the company. She even took them to court. The kid has too. I think 9 years is enough. So now the businessman, my colleague, has to pay her a monthly pension until the kid turns 15. That woman, I don't remember exactly how much. I think it's 600 something euros. I don't want to lie to you either. I don't want to give numbers without knowing for sure. But I think it's around 625 euros. So you wonder how someone who's not the father can be required to pay a woman a lifelong pension until the child turns 15. What the hell is the government for? Why do we pay half of what we earn? Do we have to help that child or that woman because she lost her job? Dad, government, I'm already giving you half of what I earn. And 30,000 more business owners, since when help is needed, you also let them down.
But why was it decided that the business owner had to pay that pension?
That went to court. I can't really explain the ruling very well. They went to court and had to pay it. Because the illness was attributed to her job. I mean, the anxiety, nervousness, or depression she's experiencing. The company was blamed 100%, so was the company responsible for that woman being sick? I was shocked, but that's how it is. I saw it myself. If I hadn't, I wouldn't believe it. I experience it because I see it. How will that pension be paid? And it's brutal. We can't have a country like this.
I'm terrified of hiring someone, man.
I get it, but that shouldn't happen. When I started working, you were happy to hire people. The first business I started was when I was 16, since it was on the boat, etc. When I was 19, I opened the bar. I've always enjoyed business and hiring people. You were going to hire people like, wow, today you have 4 employees, goodbye, that's what you say. You have to be here scared, damn it, scared. I mean, I'm going to pay the government. I'm scared, and I'm not one of those who needs to be kicked out. Workers deserve rights, but they must be fair.
I don't think workers' rights benefit the worker. Not today.
No, not at all.
Workers' rights don't benefit the parasitic class at all. People get a job, settle in, seek a permanent contract, and then in Spain this often happens. A typical freeloader who does minimal work, lives off the company, and collects unemployment.
Every 9 months. Everyone goes through it. No, fire me.
Hey, I want to get fired, so I start missing work for any reason. Eventually, you wonder if it's better to just get fired and look foolish. Do you think that way? Plus, I have to pay him severance and unemployment.
They want you to fire them so they can collect unemployment.
Yes, they go on unemployment, they live off it like, oh, I'm getting this from unemployment.
That really happens.
It just doesn't make sense.
You don't want to work? They protect them.
Not the working class. Let's not confuse the working class with people without resources. A worker is a worker, and you're not a worker. You work more than anyone. I'm not a worker.
I can't work 8 hours. That's where people need to realize, I mean, does a business owner work 8 hours? 12, 14 hours. I already told you today I came here after sleeping only 3 hours.
I'll show you later, Jose. Do you know how many hours I spend on the phone answering messages?
It's crazy.
It's crazy, and I have a level of... I don't call it stress because I dislike that term. Complaining isn't my thing, but my head is a mess.
The first thing they're going to tell you is, damn, well, don't want so much. That's the first thing they'll tell you here in Spain. Don't want so much. Oh, of course, don't want so much. But everything that exists comes from people like you, who work their asses off. Hours and hours and hours just to be able to pay those taxes so that other people might not have to work, especially people without resources, because those people do need to be taken care of. Yes, they need to be taken care of. They live off the taxes we pay. If we don't take control, this will eventually end, like a company losing more than it earns.
That's why people without resources need money.
What I'm looking for is a state or a system that helps ensure there are as few people without resources as possible.
It can't be about parasites, like politicians paid a lot for doing nothing.
Why don't we make a law that everyone who wants assistance has to work in a public cleaning company?
Do you want a pension?
Do you want a subsidy? Do you want assistance? Okay.
There are cases where people with disabilities benefit, which is exactly what taxes are for. I'm not denying that there should be, but to me, the welfare state seems like the biggest scam there is.
Yes, it is.
It's a scam.
Yes, it is.
What well-being?
I mean, that is to say...
You fleece me for?
And we don't live? Also, does anyone realize that Spain isn't living as well anymore? All those people who say and protest, you don't live that well, you can't make it to the end of the month, you need a pension, you need... I mean, change your damn mentality. You're believing exactly the voice that's leading you to ruin, you know? Seriously, wake up already, you know? These days, just mentioning something gets you labeled a fascist, right-wing, or extremist. Huh? You can't mention anything. Honestly, you can't mention anything.
The point for me is, and I've thought about this for a long time, that it's also about you getting everything for free. Services like healthcare, education, and so on discourage creation. They completely discourage even the fact that you are born. And what happens once you reach a certain age? Let's set a reasonable age so that people have already finished university and so on. So you might not need to work and still have your whole life ahead. With certain services taken care of, which aren't free because you pay for them.
Because they're not free?
Because someone pays for them, it really discourages the idea of, dude, no, I have to be someone useful.
I can't live at my parents' house until I'm 35 doing nothing and eating Cheetos.
On the other hand, the welfare state encourages the idea that it's fine because if I need it, well, I have food at my mom's house.
If I get a serious illness, Social Security pays for it, even though I haven't paid into it, I haven't contributed.
I mean, no.
I'm not judging if healthcare should be public. I'm judging that everyone can access it without contributing anything. There has to be an incentive for people to produce. There has to be an incentive for people to work. What can't happen is that people are incentivized not to work. Recently, I heard someone named José Luz, whom I didn't follow.
But he says something really striking. A guy who doesn't work, who gets up every day at noon because he belongs to a certain minority group.
He gets a pension of $900 a month. He gets a pension of $900 a month.
When he has 2 hands and 2 legs and someone who's putting up scaffolding since 5 in the morning earns less, he's earning about the same.
How do you explain that to me?
To me, the fact that this person on top of that works overtime means they go over the income tax bracket.
I charge you more if you want to produce more.
I charge you more in countries like Venezuela. I mean, they ended up encouraging this current culture of being a parasite. You live on 400 euros with a sack of rice and you're happy.
And now, what do they have in Venezuela? Hyperinflation has left Venezuela with nothing. There are no taxes, and the state now seizes all natural resources, forcing people to survive on their own. How?
For me, the issue with the modern world is that we now view countries as imaginary, as if it were Alice in Wonderland. A country is a damn company. It's a damn company that has income and expenses. And Spain has more expenses than income. In Spain, there are already more government employees than self-employed workers. So we already have more expenses than income. What is the fate of a company that spends more than it earns? To shut down, right? The country?
Spain?
It's bankrupt, but we're not closing it because you can't close a country. Yes, you can. It's going to go to hell, to put it bluntly, and you'll keep it open, but in the trash, with no resources. So that's what we're achieving. If what we're achieving is a company where no one defends their home, no one defends their company, and on top of that, we spend more than we earn. So we're destined for ruin, Or do you still want to see it as something that's going to get better? We don't owe money to Europe, but we owe more and more each time. We're already a debtor country, so let's imagine that we're Europe instead of Spain.
Europe is in deep trouble in general.
Of course, by giving that money to Spain. You say nothing. Well, we turn all of Europe into what is basically a butterfly garden where we believe the world is just like that.
That you don't have to be competitive, that you don't have to be aggressive.
That you don't need to be a man, which I really like. Let people say it, because I do consider
that you have to be aggressive in this
life. Dangerous, but not aggressive. I don't think a man can't be dangerous.
Right?
And once you become dangerous, then you decide what to do. But I think a man has to decide not to do harm, but to be very dangerous. At the moment, you have to defend your children, your family, your business, your country. Here they think we will never have to defend the country. We'll see, but there will be times when we will have to defend our country. So lacking that, we aspire here. Uncle?
I think that aggressiveness is important. It depends on the context.
Of course. That's why I'm telling you. Here you can relax a bit.
Because here the audience knows what the guys are up to.
No, but for me, by law, I think by mental law, right? A man has to be dangerous. He has to know how to be dangerous.
If you can't be dangerous, you're not peaceful, just harmless.
You're harmless, and to me, you're a danger. Because a harmless person is the one who kills without thinking, the one who reacts without thinking. Especially men, because we are men and we can do it. Yes?
Weak men are truly dangerous.
An overly emotional man often causes much harm. Because he's not able to face things. He's not able to stand up to other things. I mean, he's not capable of so many things because of his emotions that he becomes a danger. So what is truly the real danger? A man who is capable of being dangerous.
And has that danger under control, or is weak?
Who will be dangerous, since he won't know how to defend a situation, country, person, or family. You know me? That's something I get criticized a lot for. No, I don't think you have to be dangerous. I do, yes, I think you have to be. In fact, there's a saying by Dan Peña that I really like, which says, well, during mentoring, he often asks, what would you do if someone spits in your wife's face? What would you do if it were your wife? The mentoring session answers might surprise you. They range from, I'd check if he's having a good or bad day, but what? What I do is I break my legs, and of course, yes. But then they ask you, of course, but is that what we should do? No, I'm not saying we should break legs.
To anyone who spits in a woman's face?
But saying if someone spits on your wife or kids, you should be allowed to break their legs. Sorry,
Sorry,
José.
I do believe that if someone spits on your woman, on your wife, right in front of you in your face, you should break their legs. Sorry for saying that. I also support a right to honor law. if a man breaks another man's legs, always with a certain proportionality.
I need to show you the video. You'll be amazed. Some people even say, I'd check if he's having a good day.
What? I mean,
Will you check if the guy who spat in your wife's face is having a good day? Well, that's the comparison when they mess up during training and you see hundreds of people questioning why he spat on his wife. That's when you realize Europe has a big problem.
where is that?
There's a major issue. France was Dan Peña. He did it in Spain.
Mentoring in Spain has become that of the Iberian macho. It was Peña.
Is that so?
Gentlemen, don't be the people who answered that to Dan Peña, because I think that women, besides, consider that man extremely weak, extremely...
And they consider you that way because you are, but what kind of person, right? No, exactly. It's not a consideration, it's a fact. Imagine having a daughter and a man visits your home after someone spat on her but did nothing. Is there really a man here? Who wouldn't beat him up? If he does it, that's his daughter.
He killed him.
So I think we've managed to have a society, especially in Europe, that's separated from the rest of the world. They think Europe is the world, but it's just a paradise that's been war-free for 80 years. This was the only place we could be like this. But it's over. People have already forgotten what it took to get here. So, once we forget the root of things, ignorance returns. Well, that's what I think, that Europe, Spain, we're very, very soft. As I mentioned, my training focuses on that, and I teach masculinity and femininity as part of it. Both the guys and girls are thrilled, like they're discovering guts. But in the end, of course, being a woman and doing sales is one thing, and being a man and doing sales is another, and you, of course, that's the truth.
and also knowing how to adapt. But there's one thing that's true, women are good at sales.
They are really good.
Of course, they are really good. If they approach it from a female perspective, women tend to be more subtle, empathetic, and try to see things from the buyer's point of view.
Exactly, that's what we cover in the training. How should a woman sell, masculine or feminine? A feminine woman sells best because she uses her femininity. So the results they achieve are amazing, but it's true that nowadays you often have to teach them how to achieve that femininity. Because they come with this attitude of, I'm here to compete with you, I'm here to compete. But you're not going to compete with me. You're not going to compete with anyone. You'll work from your femininity and achieve things as yourself. You're not a guy and I'm not a girl. I mean, each of us is going to behave as who we are and be who we are. So, from there, the results change because the person changes and starts to feel it. I see it in training. When you see that someone has taken on their role and their part, you see how suddenly they start to be happier. Absolutely, man, because you're aligned.
Aligned with your nature.
In fact, there's a recent study that came out saying that deconstructed men who reject masculinity, who adopt all the feminist discourse,
End up. Yes.
tend to show a much clearer tendency toward depression than men comfortable with themselves.
Regarding masculinity, femininity, and similar topics, many of us have been taught we should be equal.
I mean, I find it very interesting that a company like yours, which makes so much money, has those values, let's say, both traditional and modern, because there are a lot of women working for you and me. My speech? Many women confuse it with the idea that women have to be at home cooking, but that's not the case. What I'm saying is that the working world is not that important for a woman.
To succeed in love,
No, in love, we don't care if she's successful or not.
that's what I tell them, and they ask, is it because you're insecure?
No, it's got nothing to do with that. My partner is a pilot, and I would be with her even if she wasn't.
Yes, of course, I understand you. I mean,
It's not that she's a pilot, that's not what made me fall for her, but a pilot. It's possible that it could be. Working at a burger joint may not make you as successful with women as being a pilot, but it's different with women.
of course, that's how it is, but in the end, we don't care whether she has it or not. Now, there are also people who say, maybe we don't see them the same way, but that's a lie, In the end, everyone has a role. It's a part to play, but for us, it doesn't matter. We're not attracted to a woman's success, but they don't realize being with a successful woman benefits us too. Because I want to say, they say it's insecurity. No, it's not insecurity. For us, it's good to be with a woman who is successful, but not because we care that she's successful. We know it doesn't depend on us. You know that someone isn't with you out of dependence, out of financial dependence, so it's wonderful to know that someone isn't with you because of financial dependence. But now, if you think you're going to make us fall in love just because you have a position or something like that, it doesn't work the other way around, not at all. That's where it doesn't work. And we bring masculinity and femininity into the company because we see that people, when they align and are in tune with who they are, it's not just about better sales and results. They go to work happy. I'm saying it's about changing their expression, how they dress, and who they are. They become much more providing people, so to speak, and the women become much more feminine or much sweeter. So, what do they achieve with that? We have some amazing teams. I mean, really amazing teams. Do men and women really work together? Do they collaborate? So, there isn't that rivalry you see in the modern world. I'm a man, I'm a woman. They're a team. Everyone knows what role they have to play, and you can see the results, man. It's like arguing about something that already has results.
Yeah, gender roles have had results in society, and the results of moving away from them are clearly negative.
Important, José.
To finish, we've agreed that you're going to give a little talk in a live stream on a Sunday to the members of my community.
That's right.
Only those truly interested will get access, not slackers.
There's not a single slacker, not in my community, José. There's not a single slacker in my community. And at the same time, anyone who has done anything strange in my community has also been expelled immediately.
Because I want people who are committed to their own change, also socially committed to a prosperous society with a future.
Well, I love that you say that because we absolutely do not accept anyone in training who doesn't come with a purpose. You know, in fact, we don't even want their money.
One last question. I'm curious since you said you don't even want their money. If someone pays for your training, for example, if the guy doesn't meet the requirements, how do you remove him? Do you keep the money after kicking him out?
If he completes the training, will he have no money left? Clearly, no one wants to waste time. If his parameters don't meet requirements, the money is refunded and he leaves. We don't want to waste his time or give him false hope. I know if you come and don't do certain things, you won't make it, so why waste my time?
How many have received refunds? How many were told they weren't eligible and got their money back?
2 who didn't finish the training, about 6, and those who finished the training, as of today, we already have more than 60 people.
Why didn't those 6 people finish training?
Because they weren't able to. Actually, it was 2 girls and 4 boys. In fact, the boys weren't able to handle it when it came to the masculinity part. That tells you everything, because they didn't agree at all. That's why we told them from the start, this isn't about agreeing. It's biology, not science. You either get it or you don't, and if not, goodbye.
They were progressives, so that's it. Goodbye. They were allies, pretty much.
Progressive allies.
They were allies.
The rest, like I said, we have 60-something who didn't, who stayed there. They're tough, and the girls.
We're all about femininity, right?
Yes, but even more so the boys, believe it or not. I think we have very weak boys nowadays. Very weak, very, very weak.
That's incredible, man.
And I truly believe it. We have some outstanding young people, but we also have a large number of people.
The problem is volume. Quality is great, but volume is lacking.
There isn't enough volume.
We need to try to affect the volume. And that more and more men take control of their lives, that more and more men decide to get up every morning thinking, I deserve the best, and I don't deserve it because of science. I'm going to achieve it with my actions. That's what's needed.
That really helps, man.
If we influence how many men and women want, for example, the issue of women,
You need to let go of ideas like feminism, toxic masculinity, and believing all men are rapists, because deep down you want a good protective man. I think that's what you all want.
Of course.
I think feminism is a very emotional movement because even feminists, unless they're lesbians,
They want that protective man. They want that provider man. They want that man with purpose. They want that focused man. They want that man who's dangerous but keeps it controlled.
And even then you see how they have a narrative that seeks to destroy the very man they secretly long for. Where's the relationship or consistency? It makes no sense. And I'm glad there are programs like yours that teach women and men to sell, to be successful, and to compete. But within its essence and its energy, I think it's spectacular.
From a health standpoint, making a woman into a man or a man feminine isn't healthy. Or do they have it naturally? I'm not saying it's not or that it's not healthy. You're creating a huge dissonance, and that's what I'm telling you. I see it in my guys. Their faces change. They arrive lost, but 6 months later, they're happy. They treat women better, that's the point. When they become confident men, they treat women better. When they're insecure men, they don't. So, my training? I like that they learn to live together as men and women, and to manage themselves and work together, not to compete like feminism teaches us today, you know?
Well, Jose, really great. It's truly been a pleasure having you here. If you want to say something to the audience to end the show.
With that,
Just put a little guts into life, and I hope you start seeing the country for what it really is, which is a business. And if we keep having more expenses than income, we're all going to be screwed.
very well. Jose, gentlemen, I want to tell you that I'm going to leave the link to my community pinned below. We're going to have Jose with us on a Sunday, teaching us everything about selling neuro-linguistic programming. And when I say everything, I mean everything he allows us to know. 1 hour live.
And I want you to meet him in person because he's an extremely interesting person, very approachable and very humble. Honestly, you've really impressed me. You're freaking amazing. Now we're going to go eat like we should, gentlemen. See you in the next episode of The Factory. Until next time.